Okay, we're starting at page 16, continuing the Pilgrims Progress. This be true which this gentleman hath said, my wisest course is to take his advice. And with that he thus farther spake. Christian. Sir, which is my way to this honest man's house? Worldly wise man. Do you see yonder high hill? Yes, very well. By that hill you must go, and the first house you come at is his. So Christian turned out of his way to go to Mr. Legality's house for help. But behold, when he was got now hard by the hill, it seemed so high, and also that side of it that was next the wayside did hang so much over, that Christian was afraid to venture farther, lest the hill should fall on his head. Wherefore there he stood still, and knew not what to do. Also his burden now seemed heavier to him than while he was in his way. There came also flashes of fire out of the hill, that made Christian afraid that he should be burned. Here therefore he sweat and did quake for fear. And now he began to be sorry, for he had taken Mr. Worldly Wise Man's counsel. And with that he saw Evangelist coming to meet him, at the sight also of whom he began to blush for shame. So Evangelist drew nearer and nearer, and coming to him, he looked upon him with a severe and dreadful countenance, and thus began to reason with Christian. What dost thou here, Christian? Said he, at which words Christian knew not what to answer. Wherefore, at present, and lost his way, and meets Evangelist a second time. All right, deliverance. So he said that he would show me a better way, a short, not so attended with difficulties as the way, sir, that you set me in. Which way, said he, will direct you to the gentleman's house that has skill to take off these burdens. So I believed him, and turned out of that way into his, if happily I might be so eased of my burden. But when I came to this place and beheld things as they are, I stopped for fear, as I said, of danger, but I know not what to do. Then, said Evangelist, stand still a little, that I may show thee the word of God. So he stood trembling. Then said Evangelist, see that you refuse not him that speaketh. For if they escape not who refused him that spake on earth, how much more shall we not escape if we turn away from him that speaketh from heaven? He said moreover, now the just shall live by faith. But if any man draws back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. He also did thus apply, then, thou art the man that art running in this misery. Thou hast begun to reject the counsel of the Most High, and to draw back thy foot from the way of peace, even almost to the hazarding of thy perdition. Then Christian fell down at his feet dead, crying, Woe is me, for I am undone. At the sight of which Evangelist caught him by the right hand, saying, All manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men. Be not faithless, but believing. Then did Christian again a little revive, and stood up trembling, as at first, before Evangelist. Then Evangelist proceeded, saying, Give more earnest heed to the things that I shall tell thee of. I will now show thee who it was that deluded thee, and who it was also to whom he sent thee. The man that met thee is one worldly wise man, and rightly he is so called, partly because he favoreth only of the doctrine of this world. Therefore he also goes to the town of morality to church, and partly because he loveth that doctrine best, for it saveth him from the cross, and because he is of this carnal temper. Therefore he seeketh to prevent my ways, though right. Now there are 3 things in this man's counsel that thou must utterly abhor. 1. His turning thee out of the way. 2. His laboring to render the cross odious to thee. 3. And his setting thy feet in that way that leadeth unto the administration of death. First, thou must abhor his turning thee out of the way, yea, and thine own consenting thereto, because this is to reject the counsel of God for the sake of the counsel of a worldly wise man. The Lord says, Strive to enter in at the strait gate. The gate to which I send thee, for strait is the gate that leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. From this little wicket gate, and from the way thereto, hath this wicked man turned thee, to the bringing of thee almost to destruction. Hate therefore his turning thee out of the way, and abhor thyself for hearkening to him. Secondly, thou must abhor his laboring to render the cross odious unto thee, for thou art to prefer it before the treasures in Egypt. Besides, the King of glory hath told thee, that he that will save his life shall lose it, and he that comes after him, and hates not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. I say therefore, for a man to labor to persuade thee that that shall be thy death, without which the truth hath said, Thou canst not have eternal life, this doctrine thou must abhor. Thirdly, thou must hate this setting of thy feet in the way, that leadeth to the ministration of death. And for this thou must consider to whom he sent thee, and also how unable that person was to deliver thee from thy burden. He to whom thou wast sent for ease, being by name Legality, is the son of the bondwoman, which now is, and is in bondage with her children, and is in a mystery this mount, Sinai, which thou hast feared, will fall on thy head. Now if she with her children are in bondage, how canst thou expect by them to be made free? This legality, therefore, is not able to set thee free from thy burden. No man as yet ever rid of his burden by him, no, nor ever is like to be. Ye cannot be justified by the works of the law. For by the deeds of the law no man living can be rid of his burden. Therefore Mr. Worldly Wise Man is an alien, and Mr. Legality a cheat. As for his son's civility, notwithstanding his simpering looks, he is but an hypocrite, and cannot help thee. Believe me, there is nothing in all this noise that thou hast heard of these sottish men, but a design to beguile thee of thy salvation. by turning thee from the way in which I had set thee." After this, Evangelist called aloud to the heavens for confirmation of what he had said. And with that there came words in fire out of the mountain under which poor Christian stood, that made the hair on his flesh stand up. The words were thus pronounced: "As many as are of the works of the law are under the curse, for it is written, Cursed is every one that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them." Now Christian looked for nothing but death, and began to cry out lamentably, and even cursing the time in which he met with Mr. Worldly Wiseman, still calling himself 1,000 fools for hearkening to his counsel. He also was greatly ashamed to think that this gentleman's arguments, flowing only from the flesh, should have the prevalency with him as to cause him to forsake the right way. This done, he applied himself again to Evangelist in words and sense as follow: saying, "Christian, sir, what think you, is there hopes? May I now go back and go up to the wicket gate? Shall I not be abandoned for this, and sent back from thence ashamed? I am sorry I have hearkened to this man's counsel, but may my sin be forgiven." Then said Evangelist to him, "Thy sin is very great, for by it thou hast committed 2 evils. Thou hast forsaken the way that is good, to tread in forbidden paths. Yet will the man at the gate receive thee, for he has good will for men. Only," said he, "take heed that thou turn not aside again, lest thou perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little." Then did Christian address himself to go back, and Evangelist, after he had kissed him, gave him one smile, and bid him God-speed. So he went on with haste, neither spake he to any man by the way, nor if any asked him would he vouchsafe them an answer. He went like one that was all the while treading on the forbidden ground, and could by no means think himself safe, till again he was got into the way, which he left to follow Mr. Worldly Wiseman's counsel. So in process of time Christian got up to the gate. Now over the gate there was written, "Knock, and it shall be opened unto you." Yes, Christian enters the wicket gate. He knocked therefore more than once or twice, saying, "May I now enter here? Will be within open to sorry me. May I now enter here? Will he within open to sorry me? Though I have been an undeserving rebel, then shall I not fail to sing his lasting praise on high." At last there came a grave person to the gate, named Goodwill, who asked who was there, and whence he came, and what he would have. Christian said, "Here is a poor burdened sinner. I come from the city of destruction, but am going to Mount Zion, that I may be delivered from the wrath to come. I would therefore, sir, since I am informed by this gate is the way thither, know if you are willing to let me in." Goodwill: "I am willing with all my heart," said he, and with that he opened the gate. So when Christian was stepping in, the other gave him a pull. Then said Christian, "What means that?" The other told him, A little distance from this gate there is erected a strong castle, of which Beelzebub is the captain. From thence both he and them that are with him shoot arrows at those that come up to the gate, if haply they may die before they enter in. Then said Christian, I rejoice and tremble. So when he was got in, the man of the gate asked him who directed him thither. Christian said, Evangelist bid me come hither, and knock as I did, and he said that you, sir, would tell me what I must do. Goodwill. An open door is before thee, and no man can shut it. Christian. Now I begin to reap the benefits of my hazards. Goodwill. But how is it that you come alone? Christian. Because none of my neighbors saw their danger, and I saw as I saw mine. Did any of them know of your coming? Yes, my wife and children saw me at the first, and called after me to turn again. Also some of my neighbors stood crying and calling after me to return. But I put my fingers in my ears, and so came on my way. But did none of them follow you to persuade you to go back? Yes, both obstinate and pliable. But when they saw that they could not prevail, obstinate went railing back, but pliable came with me a little way. But why did he not come through? We indeed came both together, until we came to the slough of Despond, in the which he also suddenly fell, and then was my neighbor Pliable discouraged, and would not adventure farther. Wherefore, getting out again on that side, next to his own house, he told me I should possess the brave country alone for him. So he went by his way, and I came mine, he after obstinate, and I to this gate. Then said Goodwill, Alas, poor man is the celestial glory of so small esteem with him, that he counteth it not worth running the hazard of a few difficulties to obtain it. Truly, said Christian, I have said the truth of Pliable, and if I should also say all the truth of myself, it will appear there is no difference betwixt him and myself. 'Tis true he went back to his own house, but I also turn aside to go in the way of death, being persuaded thereto by the carnal argument of one Mr. Worldly Wise Man. Oh, did he light upon you? What? He would have had you sought for ease at the hands of Mr. Legality. They are both of them very cheats. But did you take his counsel? Yes, as far as I durst. I went to find out Mr. Legality, until I thought that the mountain that stands by his house would have fallen upon my head. Wherefore there I was forced to stop. That mountain has been the death of many, and I will be the death of many more. And will be the death of many more. It is well you escape being dashed in pieces by it. Christian. Why truly, I do not know what had become of me there, had not Evangelist happily met me again, as I was musing in the midst of my dumps. But it was God's mercy that he came to me again, for else I had never come hither. But now I am come such as one as I am, more fit indeed for death by that mountain than thus to stand talking with my Lord. But oh, what a favor is this to me, that yet I am admitted entrance here. Goodwill. We make no objections against any, notwithstanding all that they have done before they came hither. They in no wise are cast out, and therefore, good Christian, come a little way with me, and I will teach thee about the way thou must go. Look before thee, as dost thou see this narrow way? That is the way thou must go. It was cast up by the patriarchs, prophets, Christ, and his apostles, and it is as straight as a rule can make it. This is the way thou must go. Christian. But, said Christian, are there no turnings nor windings, by which a stranger may lose his way? Yes, there are many ways, but down upon this, and they are crooked and wide. But thus thou mayest distinguish the right from the wrong, the right only being straight and narrow. Then I saw in my dream that Christian asked him farther, if he could not help him off with the burden that was upon his back, for as yet he had not got rid thereof, nor could he by any means get it off without help. He told him, as to thy burden, be content to bear it until thou comest to the place of deliverance, for there it will fall back from thy back of itself. Then Christian began to gird up his loins, and address himself to his journey. So the other told him that by that he was gone some distance from the gate, he would come at the house of the interpreter, at whose door he should knock, and he would show him excellent things. Then Christian took his leave of his friend, and he again bid him God-speed. Then he went on till he came at the house of the interpreter, where he knocked over and over. At last one came to the door and asked, who was there? And Christian said, Sir, here is a traveler, who was bid by an acquaintance of the good man of his house, to call here for my profit. I would therefore speak with the master of the house. So he called for the master of the house, who after a little time came to Christian and asked him what he would have. Sir, said Christian, I am a man that am come from the city of destruction, and am going to the Mount Zion. And I was told by the man that stands at the gate, at the head of this way, that if I called here, you would show me excellent things, such as would be a help to me in my journey. Then said the interpreter, Come in, I will show thee that which will be profitable to thee. So he commanded his man to light the candle, and bid Christian follow him. So he had him into a private room, and bid this man open a door, the which when he had done, Christian saw the picture of a very grave person hanging up against the wall, and this was the fashion of it. It had eyes lifted up to heaven. The best of books in his hand, the law of truth was written upon his lips. The world was behind his back. It stood as if it pleaded with men, and a crown of gold did hang over its head. Then said Christian, What meaneth this? Interpreter. The man whose picture this is one of 1,000. He can beget children, travel in birth with children, and nurse them himself when they are born. And whereas thou seest him with his eyes lift up to heaven, the best of books in his hand, and the law of truth written on his lips, it is to show thee that his work is to know and unfold dark things to sinners. Even as also thou seest him stand, as if he pleaded with men, and whereas thou seest the world as cast behind him, and that a crown hangs over his head, that is to show thee that slighting and despising the things that are present, for the love that he hath to his master's service, he is sure in the world that comes next to have glory for his reward. Now, said the interpreter, I have showed thee this picture first, because the man whose picture this is the only man whom the Lord of the place whither thou art going hath authorized to be thy guide in all difficult places thou mayest meet in the way. Wherefore take good heed to what I have showed thee, and bear well in thy mind what thou hast seen, lest in thy journey thou meet with some that pretend to lead thee right, but their way goes down to death. Then he took him by the hand, and led him into a very large parlor, that was full of dust, because never swept. The which after he had reviewed a little while, the interpreter called for a man to sweep. Now when he began to sweep, the dust began abundantly to fly about, that Christian had almost therewith choked. Then said the interpreter to the damsel that stood by, bringing hither the water, and sprinkled the room, the which when she had done, it was swept and cleansed with a pleasure. Then said Christian, What means this? The interpreter answered, This parlor is by the heart of a man that was never sanctified by the sweet grace of the gospel. The dust is his original sin, and inward corruptions that have defiled the whole man. He that began to sweep at the first is the law. But she that brought water and did sprinkle it is the gospel. Now whereas thou sawest that as soon as the first began to sweep, the dust did so fly about that the room by him could not be cleansed, but thou wast almost choked therewith. This is to show thee that the law, instead of cleansing the heart by its working from sin, doth revive, put strength into, and increase it in the soul, even as it doth discover and forbid it, for it doth not give power to subdue it. Again, as thou sawest the damsel sprinkle in the room with water, upon which it was cleansed with pleasure, this is to show thee that when the gospel comes in the sweet and precious influences thereof to the heart, then, I say, even as thou sawest the damsel lay the dust by sprinkling the floor with water, so is sin vanquished and subdued, and the soul made clean through the faith of it, and consequently fit for the King of glory to inhabit. I saw, moreover, in my dream, that the interpreter took him by the hand, and had him into a little room, where sat two little children, each one in his chair. The name of the eldest was Passion, and the name of the other Patience. Passion seemed to be much discontented, but Patience was very quiet. Then Christian asked, What is the reason of the discontent of Passion? The interpreter answered, The governor of them would have him stay for his best things till the beginning of the next year, but he will have all now. But Patience is willing to wait. Then I saw that one came to Passion, and brought him a bag of treasure, and poured it down at his feet, the which he took up and rejoiced therein, and withal laughed Patience to scorn. But I beheld but a while, and he had lavished all away, and had nothing left him but rags.